What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, February the 16th. Happy late Valentine's Day, Super Bowl, all that good stuff. We're going to play Headline Roulette and talk about the Super Bowl. The Wire starts right now.
I'm going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way I roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with I am Mike and the great Ali. I'm a running back, believe me baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy Sosa, that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
Fellas, how are we doing? Welcome to The Wire. We've got Marvin on his way, but right now we got Trey, Sahe, and Richie in the house. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. Good.
Well, it's another beautiful day here at The Wire on H2G Radio. That's a new thing. Check us out. The link tree is in the description. So something we haven't done in a while here, and after this week, we're going to be diving into the NBA, and we got March Madness coming up. We got a lot that's going to be covering. So I figured one last week, why don't we play a little headline roulette, and then we'll break down the Super Bowl. For those of you who have not heard The Wire before, headline roulette is where we look at today's hottest headlines and decide which ones we want to talk about. Now, first on my board, guys, I see that Russia. I don't want to get this. I don't want to get this name wrong. Rich, help me out. I think it's Russia's Kamila Valieva takes the lead in women's figure skating short program amid a scandal. Do we want to open?
You'd have to ask my girl. I don't know how to pronounce Russian names.
Well, you've always got my back on pronunciation.
Normally I do. I got nothing here.
We want to move by that one.
For me, I'd like to move by it because I don't know enough other than I know she tested positive, if I recall. Mm-hmm. So I don't know enough, so I don't want to comment.
They were injecting her with steroids is all I know.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
That's how Russia gets down.
There's a little breakdown here. It says the positive drug test a result of her grandfather's heart medication.
I know Shikari had something to say about it, but
well, if it continues to escalate, we'll get into it later. Let's see. So there's another story on the doping scandal. We'll skip that. Richard Sherman isn't sold on Matthew Stafford being a Hall of Famer despite this Super Bowl victory. Do we want to crack open that shell? I guess the question being, would this Super Bowl be enough to make Matt Stafford a Hall of Fame candidate?
Do you want to hit it?
Let's hit it.
You want to hit it?
Trey, go ahead.
Matt Stafford is like top 20 in passing, top 20 in touchdowns. I think the only Pro Bowl he went to is when he threw for 5,000 yards, or maybe this year, which is insane to me. But what's the criteria to get into a Hall of Fame?
I don't know the statistical criteria, but I'm sure someone in Canton does, and they can let us know.
I would just say that Matt Stafford has been overlooked all of his career because he's playing in a really bad organization, but he's put up crazy numbers. And of course, we all know here at The Wire that I am a full Matt Stafford supporter. So maybe my opinion is, and he also went to Georgia, go Dogs. So I'm a little biased by it, but if we're looking at all of his numbers and what he's done, I think he gets a nod. He may not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I definitely think that he deserves a look. But he's being handcuffed by where he played. He hasn't been getting the recognition that he deserves.
Okay, Sahe's shaking your head. Do you think that this win is? You don't think this win is enough to make him a Hall of Famer?
Of course not, man. Matthew Stafford still has a lot to prove if he wants to be considered a Hall of Fame quarterback. Those years in Detroit are going to be forgotten because what did they do? What did they do? They lost. I mean, him and that whole team is going to be in the Hall of Fame as in getting defeated. You know what I'm saying? One of the few teams that went throughout the season defeated, not winning the game. He goes to the Rams, and I mean, Neil O'Donnell could have led them to a Super Bowl this year. Who else?
Neil O'Donnell.
Yeah, Neil O'Donnell. Tommy Maddox could have came out of retirement this year and led the Rams to a Super Bowl. You want to tell me Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback? Get out of here.
No, we talking about, is Matt Stafford a Hall of Fame quarterback?
First of all, the Tommy Maddox quote got Trey to leave the wire. Yeah, Richie, the headline said that Richard Sherman's not sold on Matt Stafford being a Hall of Fame candidate, even though he got the Super Bowl victory. So it posed the question, does the Super Bowl mean that Matt Stafford is worthy of a Hall of Fame?
Hell no. And, I've been Matt Stafford's biggest advocate. Trey has joined me the moment he had the opportunity. I've always been I said he's a top 5 quarterback. I got fucking roasted. But here's the reality. He has 1 Pro Bowl, which is whatever. I don't care about Pro Bowls. But more importantly, 0 All-Pros. What is this man's stature other than he can throw the ball? Like, does he have a cannon? Yeah, he's got a cannon. Can he throw great stuff? Yeah. And it's not about the touchdowns, the picks, and things like that. It's just this simple. Compared to his peers throughout his career, he has not been successful as in a top 3 quarterback. There has never been a quarterback with 0 All-Pro nominations that's been in the Hall of Fame. He did get a Super Bowl, and he did well enough in the Super Bowl, but no, he's not a Hall of Famer. That's absurd.
You know who he reminds me of a little bit?
Who's that?
Think of Jay Cutler. Is Jay Cutler a Hall of Famer?
Sahe, I'll tell you what, he's like 25% better version of Jay Cutler, and Sahe is right. The dude, yes, Sahe's right.
Jay Cutler was a baller too.
He's Jay Cutler 2.0. Better arm, much tougher, but throws the picks in the red zone all the time. But he's Jay Cutler. You're right.
Brett Favre picked the end zones too.
Who does?
Brett Favre.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Brett Favre does.
Okay, I could almost. I'm supposed to stay out of this, but I lived with Jay Cutler before Tommy Maddox. That was a little.
Yeah, that was a little.
I was trying to think on the fly. I'm like, who do I say? Who do I say?
I remember the Tommy Maddox days. All right.
He came back against Cleveland in that playoff game.
He did.
That
Trey, go ahead.
Right
I don't want to rob you of your rebuttal there.
I'm just saying, when it's all said and done, he's probably gonna be top 10 in every quarterback stat. When it's all said and done, the fact that he played in Detroit and didn't get the Pro Bowl selections, that's not up to him. His play was there. The numbers are there.
I feel like he could play for a long time. So you're right.
No, I think he's 32 or 34. One of the two numbers. I don't remember the exact age. Dude was a stud in Georgia. I don't think anyone's calling him a scrub. It's just like I said, I need to see him play at a top 3 level, like he's capable of and has been capable of, for the rest of his career. And then he has an opportunity. He's got the arm to do it, and now he's got the team to do it. Like, he's young enough that, you look at quarterback. Tom Brady played till he was 70, honestly. Well, 44. But, he has many years left in him, and he's got to prove it, because you can't just constantly be like, oh, well, the Detroit years don't count. Exactly. They don't count. Now he's in LA. Now OBJ's, has ACL surgery again. So he's going to have OBJ back, because OBJ won't be able to sign a big contract. So he's going to have OBJ, Cooper Kupp, Woods. He's going to have some studs. So let me see what he can do, now that he's not on a crappy team. And if he can prove it to me consistently again, because now he's always had the numbers. Well, now he's got the LA backing, right? He's got the status. So he should get the Pro Bowls and the All Pros. So let's see those. We need to see those. So
you want him to do it again? Because he just won a Super Bowl.
Yes, he needs another one. One Super Bowl is not enough, Trey. Not.
All right.
And I've been a huge Matt Stafford fan. One Super Bowl is not enough. Now, I'm not going to call him Tommy Maddox or whatever else he was saying. I didn't hear that part. But, let's not anoint him Kurt Warner. No MVPs, no stuff. Come on, man.
I believe the quote was Tommy Maddox could have led this Rams team to the Super Bowl this year.
To the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl?
I stand on that. The two of them win the Super Bowl.
I don't know about win, but maybe to the Super Bowl.
He would have got hurt, and Ben Roethlisberger would have come off the bench. No, anyway, okay, so let's see here. We've got the Eagles expected to pursue quarterback Jimmy G during the offseason. Anybody want to weigh in on that potential setup with Jimmy G in Philadelphia?
I'll weigh in right now. That would be a terrible decision for Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is not exactly a world-class thrower of the football, but he is absolutely a winner. I hate to call it this way because it's disrespectful to Jalen Hurts, but he's got that Tim Tebow syndrome where he just finds ways to will his team via rushing to wins. And Jimmy G is the most obnoxious nerd stat quarterback in the world. And what I mean by that is if you look at his stats, he wins. But if you also look at his stats, he's terrible. He's a terrible quarterback. I've watched him for years. I don't get the hype. He's always injured. And that's the last thing, he can't handle the Philadelphia scrutiny. It just wouldn't go well. I'm surprised to even hear this. There are plenty of other teams that could use Jimmy G's services. Truthfully, you could put him on a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers and that they'd be better off for him than Philadelphia. Philadelphia has no wide receivers. They absolutely suck. Jimmy G sucks. So I just don't see that being a good fit. Whereas, for instance, Pittsburgh has quality wide receivers and they can make him look better. They look at Deebo Samuel. He made Jimmy G look decent, and they don't have a Deebo, but they have three very talented, versatile in their role wide receivers. I don't like Philadelphia at all. I think that'd be a terrible fit because he's not that dude that can elevate the players around him. And since they don't have great talent on wide receiver, I think you need Jalen Hurts. You need the Lamar Jackson 2.0, but not as good. I don't know what the version 2.5, can't throw the ball like Lamar, but he can still win. You're going to win more with Jalen. Let's put it that way. Jimmy G's not the answer.
Trey, what do you think? Jimmy G the answer to Philadelphia's trials and tribulations?
No, I'm with Rich on this. For different reasons, though. I think Jalen Hurts is a quarterback who's going to consistently get better. I don't know about the Lamar. I think Lamar can throw the ball. He just doesn't have an offensive line.
No, that's what I'm saying. Lamar can't throw way better than Jalen is what I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G is a handsome man. There's a pretty face factor, so he's a great face of your franchise.
10 out of 10 for the face. I agree.
He's one of those guys that's constantly going to get hurt. He's a wonderful backup quarterback. That's what he is. He can start, but I wouldn't trust him to take me deep on a playoff run. So I don't think that he's the answer for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they need to stick with the continuity of having Jalen Hurts as their quarterback, build an offense around him that can grow with him. But Jimmy G is not the answer for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like Richie was saying, the Philadelphia media would eat Jimmy Garoppolo alive. The man got caught with a porn star. What do you think is going to happen in Philly if he gets caught with a porn star and they lose? Oh, it's going to be a wrap. Philly fans don't play that. That's what they don't do. I'd be terrified for him in Philly.
Ooh, I feel a segue coming, but we got Sahe's take first. What do you think, man, about Jimmy G and whether or not he would fit over into Philadelphia?
When you brought the question up, I was just like, I haven't heard this one. I thought they were pretty set with Jalen Hurts, but as I'm listening to these guys and I'm thinking about it, Jimmy G, proven winner in Philadelphia. They got Devontae Smith out there, Miles Sanders. They got some guys out there that he can get the ball to, sling it around a little bit. They were just in the playoffs. Hell, they get you plug Jimmy in there, and you got a team that can, you know what I'm saying, make a deep run depending on what the Dallas Cowboys do in their division. So I think it'll be a great move. It's a move that I think the Philadelphia Eagles should seriously consider because they need something down there. Jalen Hurts, is he really the answer? In that playoff game against, they did come back a little bit. They showed some fight in them.
A little bit
fight in them. But you plug a guy like Jimmy G, a guy that has playoff experience, into that offense with a coach like Nick Sirianni in there. He's motivating the guys. Come on now, come on. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good for Philly.
Answer me this: for the 49ers playoff, were the 49ers in the playoffs because of Jimmy G, or was it because of Deebo Samuel's in the running game?
Let me ask you this: was the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs because of Jalen Hurts, or was it Nick Sirianni motivating those guys?
Hold on. Was Jimmy G really the reason that they were in the playoffs, or was it the defense in the running game?
I mean, Jimmy G had a lot to do with that. He's calling the signals. He's getting them in and out of plays. Come on now, don't put you know what I'm saying? Put some respect on.
He's doing the check down on third down. He watched the Ben Roethlisberger tape.
He's getting them in and out the right place. But I get your point. Deebo Samuel's a big part of that offense and what they're going to do moving forward. But
we were all talking 49ers. We were talking about the running game. We were talking about the defense holding up. And we were saying if Jimmy G doesn't mess it up. That's what we were saying. So I don't see taking that from that situation, that stable situation, going into a building organization like the Eagles are doing right now, and taking Jalen Hurts, who's grown with the team, going through those battles, and then sticking Jimmy G in there and saying that we think you could do a better job.
When has Jimmy G honestly ever had the chance to prove he was the man? He was in New England behind Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in that system. Then he gets traded to the 49ers. He has to deal with Kyle Shanahan's system and be locked in that we're going to run the ball. You plug him into Philadelphia, they hand him the keys, let Jimmy G cook a little bit.
This is another Matt Stafford situation is what you're saying?
Not quite. Matthew Stafford was the man in Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he was.
So, but I'm saying Jimmy G's, we haven't given him a chance. He's been to a Super Bowl, deep in the playoffs. Let him sling it. Let's see what he got.
Sahe over here answering questions with questions. I think you, my friend, could sell icicles in Antarctica and probably sell out. So let's, there's a bad joke for you. Let's transition. I've got two pretty decent transitions here, but I'm going to go with the raunchy one because we never do this. Speaking of players making bad decisions with women, Texans Lovie Smith wants the Deshaun Watson saga resolved ASAP. We haven't talked about it in a long time. Guys, are you surprised that this is even still conversation? Do you just let him go? Is Deshaun Watson a high enough caliber to keep it, see this thing out, sort it out? And for those of you who don't know, Watson facing, I don't have the exact number, a handful of allegations that we won't get into, but anybody want to pick up on this or should we pass?
You said Lovie Smith wants it to be done with?
He wants the saga to be resolved.
He wants it to be resolved. He didn't. He didn't say done with Deshaun, but he says he wants it them to figure it out now, resolve it now.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure he does. I'm sure. I mean, but I don't think you could force the judicial system to go any faster. I don't think he has any that. I'm sure Deshaun wants it to be done too. But is he worth it? Absolutely. He's a quarterback in the NFL. Quarterback's a premium position, and Deshaun Watson does it at a very high level. So I don't know where he's going with that. He's not going to be with the Texans. He doesn't want to play for them. But he's going to be healthy because he hasn't played for a full year, and I'm sure he's going to be itching to get back and sling the rock. So whoever gets him, they're going to get a very motivated Deshaun Watson, which is going to be scary for the rest of the league.
All right, and we got Marvin Scott joining us. I told you he was coming. He was on his way. Here he is. Marvin, you came in just in time for an uncomfortable story. No, we're playing a good old-fashioned game of headlines roulette, like the olden days of The Wire. You're very familiar with headline roulette. This headline in particular is that the Texans' Lovie Smith wants the Deshaun Watson saga resolved as soon as possible. You care to weigh in on this conversation?
Yeah, by soon as possible, what does he mean? Like he wants the case to go away, or he wants him on the team starting?
Well, he wouldn't answer. He was being very coy, Marvin. So what do you think he means when he says he wants the saga to be dealt with?
I mean, Lovie Smith wants a quarterback. Like he wants someone that can come in and not only play well, but can secure his job. Like we just saw what happened to the last Texans coach. I don't want that to happen to Lovie Smith, because if they don't have a franchise QB, they're not going anywhere. They're going to lose games. But Lovie Smith is a good coach. I mean, but I understand what he's saying. I mean, you want some closure in this situation. Like, why is this still like lingering on? And wherever team Deshaun Watson ends up, like he'll have to deal with the fans. I mean, he's still a great talent, but like I get it. I mean, Lovie Smith wants a guy he can rely on, and I don't think it's gonna be David Bill.
Sahe, you've mentioned it in the past. There's a team that has a Pittsburgh. I mean, well, there it is. Pittsburgh has a history of handling these type of situations.
I can't. Don't even finish that. What's wrong with you?
Does anybody else want to weigh in on this? Or
I'll weigh in unless Sahe wants to go first. No problem either way.
Oh yeah. This one. I'll be real quick with this one. I'm just thinking like, what's taking this Deshaun Watson like whole thing to clear up? What's taking so long? Like did Deshaun Watson like tell these girls to like, yo, put some allegations on me, but then when they ask you about them, say something but don't really say nothing. So this thing drag on forever until I get traded. You know? Well, I don't get why it's taking so long. And Lovie Smith, right? He wants to be able to move forward. He's got to install his program, his system into the team, so he wants to know what's going on.
Sure. For me, here's my take on it. The general manager says he doesn't anticipate Deshaun on the team next year. So to me, that's Lovie kind of falling in line with that. You know, I agree with Trey, whoever gets Deshaun Watson will have a motivated Deshaun Watson. And I've already said this on the show before. All they got to do is get some masseuses who are down for his weird stuff. He doesn't run into any problems, and everybody wins. So that's my take on this. Whoever gets Deshaun Watson will have a top 3 quarterback. He is a fantastic talent, and I think people forget that because it's just been a while since we've seen him play. So.
All right. Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to take it down that road. I had to revive that funny joke.
No,
okay, so
I got something real quick to add to that. Richie, you're right. You are right about that. And I also forgot that Lovie Smith has taken Rex Grossman to the Super Bowl.
Yes, he has.
I do feel if there's anyone that can take anybody to Super Bowl, it'd be Lovie Smith. I mean,
hey, man.
I can't forget about that. Yeah, so maybe they may be in good hands, but still, I mean, you don't want to have another situation like David Cullen. I hated what happened to him. And I don't want that to happen with Lovie because Houston is already the whole thing sounded really fishy to me. All those allegations that came out as soon as he wanted to be traded. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like, so I mean, that Texans organization, I don't know. They have some guys upstairs that got an old way of thinking.
Oh, that's code.
all right. I think this may bring us into the break here. This is a little bit of a two-parter. They're posted back to back. I don't think there's enough to talk about just one or the other. First of all, this one's all speculation. Thank you, Fox News, for letting us read your stories. But this is a Fox News type headline here. Tom Brady's peers believe that he still wants to play football, could join another team. Reported from Fox News and supposedly some of his peers. And the headline below it, the two-parter here, Tom Brady's hopeful that Rob Gronkowski will return next year says he is unstoppable out there as a player, and he's hopeful that he returns. So we got a two-parter here. Do you think Tom Brady's questioning his retirement, looking at some other teams? A great place to finish. Or do you think Rob Gronkowski's looking for another year? Anybody who wants?
I'll start first. Why not? Do I think he wants another opportunity in the league? Of course he does. You know. Here's what I think happened. His camp leaked it early to Adam Schefter, in terms of where he, his wife and him had made a decision, and now the dude's like, man, I could cook these dudes. He wants to play again. It's Tom Brady, the most competitive man on the planet. And we all know because we watch the sports podcast too. We all know he wanted to go to San Francisco, and we all know how pissed he was. They kept Jimmy G over him. And the rumors I've been hearing is he's trying to push his way back into the Bay to San Francisco, where he went, where he grew up, etc. So that's where I see, if he does go back, that's where I think he's going to try. Because Tampa Bay's ready to move on at this point, quite frankly. They've already stated as much. Now, of course, will they gladly take him back? Yes, but I think at this point, his retirement and his unretirement would lead to some sort of trade with SF. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo. Who knows? The point being is that's the rumors I've been hearing, the rumor mill. But to answer the first part, of course he wants to play football. He's Tom Brady. This dude will want to play when he's 70. He's going to watch the screen and be like, if I don't get hit, I could throw better than this asshole. And he probably could at the age of 70. So I think he'll always want to play football. But I still do think he's got it in him. I still think he wants to actually play. And the San Francisco rumor, I don't know. I'm not saying it's like 100%, but do I buy it's a possibility? Sure. Would Rob Gronkowski join him? I sure think he would want to. He's mentioned that even if Tom doesn't play, he's still considering playing. And I don't take any stock in this, but he was saying he'd love to play with Joe Burrow because of his boys and things of that nature. But the point being is Rob Gronkowski will probably only play if Tom's playing. That's my take. The dude's very young, and he came out of retirement for Tom, not just for the hell of it. And if Tom, for instance, goes to the Niners or Denver or somewhere else, I could see Rob trying to join them.
So I think the guy's been doing this for 20 years, as a routine. I think his body is set up to start training and doing of course he wants to still play. It's going to be really hard for him to just walk away from the sport of football. He's done this every day of his life for the majority of his life, 20 plus years. So to just stop all of a sudden is probably going to be one of the hardest things that he ever does. Even when you hear him talk, he doesn't talk about leaving the game because he wants to. He talks about leaving the game because it takes so much away from his family. And he thinks that his family deserves to have a part of him. So it's not like he doesn't feel like he can't do it anymore. I mean, he second in voting for MVP probably. The second and third rated quarterback in the league. So he still got it. The thing is, he just can't divide his time up. So the San Francisco things I've heard about, I think that's very viable for him to come back and go to San Francisco. Rob Gronkowski playing. Rob Gronkowski's so broke up right now. He looks very stiff out on that line. So I think he just needs to go ahead and just hang it up and become a Hall of Famer. Personally, but Tom Brady wanting to still play is not. I don't think even Brett Favre had this problem when he kept going back and forth, saying he's the retiring, he's the coming back. I mean, what are these guys supposed to do after they play football? Then nothing's going to give them the thirst that they had when they were playing, and especially at quarter. I mean, Tom Brady. Let's be real. Tom Brady doesn't get touched. He could probably play another 5 to 6 years if he really truly wanted to. So I think they're stocking it.
And I can tell you one place that he could go. He could bypass all 5 of us and go straight to ESPN for a job. Marvin, Sahe, either of you guys want to weigh in on Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski?
I'll say this. As far as the retirement, I don't think Tom Brady ever was retired. Personally, I feel like the news leaked, and he was forced to say he retired. He didn't want those guys that leaked the information to look bad, and to say he retires, like, really doesn't mean anything because the season is over. It's not like the season is in full swing and he's like, you know what, guys, I can't do it anymore. I had enough. I'm retiring. We've still got months and months and months and days and hours and minutes and a whole lot of fucking seconds until the next season. So there's going to be a lot of time for us to talk about Tom Brady. And that's exactly what he wants. He wants us talking about Tom Brady. Because when you talk about Tom Brady, that you're talking about TB12, his brand. You're talking about Man in the Arena, his show. You're talking about all these things that Tom Brady is doing. So he's just building his brand to be as big as possible. Just like he built his football career to be as big as possible. I don't buy the line that he wanted to spend more time with family. All right. I don't buy that at all. This dude is doing something that no one in the history of the world has ever done. I mean, not that the NFL has been around as long as the history of the world, but I'm saying for the history of the NFL, this man is doing something that's never been done before. Why would you just give it up and quit? You know, it makes no sense. He knows that. The people around him knows that. And it's not like he's working the railroads or something and he's gone all the live long day, you know? He's a football player. Yeah, he's got to watch a lot of film. Yeah, but he plays a game that's, you know what, 3 hours on a Sunday? He can go home and spend all the time with his family. Everybody's got to go to work. Nobody gets to sit there and just spend family time all day. He's only 44 years old. He's still got a lot of juice left. He's not going to give it up. I don't believe it. And wherever he goes, Gronkowski is going to go. And maybe they say, hey, Mac Jones, rookie. You know what I'm saying? You did a nice job last year. But I'm reclaiming the throne. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to show you how it's done. You know what, Gronkowski? Come on. We're going to save Bill. He drowning. He looking real sorry out here. So, I mean, I could see him going there and winning his A with the Patriots. That's why he didn't include him in his retirement speech, because he's like, I'm not done with you guys yet. I'm going to come up there and give it to you guys one more time. You know what I'm saying? That's going to make the football world go crazy.
Man. All right, Marvin, I don't know how you follow that. That is an interesting theory. Go for it, man.
Yeah, it's a very interesting theory. I mean, look, I'm not a father, so I don't want to speak on what Tom should be doing with his family. I think that the decision that he came to, I think the decision that he came to was a decision that he discussed with his family, not something necessarily that he wanted. But, you know, from a fan's perspective, I mean, it's hard. It would be hard not to see Tom Brady out there on a weekly basis because the man's a legend. The man's a GOAT. I mean, we all know this. But, you know, I think that he should stay retired because when you look at the landscape of the NFL, there's nothing left for Tom to do. The man has 7 Super Bowls, 7 of them. And the MVPs, the records, there's nothing left. I honestly thought after he beat Patrick Mahomes, there was nothing left. So I feel like there's, at this point of Tom's career, him coming back would just be like Michael Jordan coming back to the Wizards. Like I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see him go to San Francisco and get a starting job over Trey Lance, and Trey Lance sit on the bench another year because he learned from Jimmy Garoppolo, but not really. And they didn't invest and go that high for a quarterback that can sit on the bench. Let's see what he got in him now. And I couldn't see any scenario minus Tampa Bay where he would go back and Gronk would go back too. I just think that both of them have already accomplished so much within their careers that they should just hang it up at this point, man. I mean, let us hang on to the memories that was the 20 plus years that Tom Brady gave fans playing at an elite level. I mean, I just don't see a scenario where he could come back and outdo anything that he's done or go on another Super Bowl. I just don't want to see it. Anything can happen. He could go to a new system and the offensive line may not be that good and Tom gets hit. And Giselle is mad because he decided to come back. But I just think that after all the tributes and Justin, no, he's not going to Pittsburgh. That's not happening. It's not happening. He's not going to the Jets. He's not going to 49ers. Tom needs to stay put. And I know it's going to be hard. Trey, like you said, just to stop playing for 20 years, that's going to be hard. But Tom can watch his kids grow. They might, you never know. His son might, be a younger replica of him. You never know. Tom, there's nothing left. It's like I was saying, it's like a Rock or Stone Cold or any of those guys when they wrestlers coming back. There's nothing left for them to achieve. They've done it already. They've done a lot for you as a fan. Let Tom be on the golf course. That's where Tom should be. He should be on the golf course. Tom should play the celebrity golf tournaments, and that's it. Maybe that bring him. That's still competitive. He's going to have to find other avenues. Kobe would have kept playing if he could. But Kobe saw that he was, but two different positions I know, but Kobe gave us everything. There was nothing left for Kobe. We would have still saw Kobe as a GOAT. There was nothing left for him to achieve. Even though he won that 6th ring. Tom has 7 Super Bowls. You're not going to 3 more. What's 2 more going to do? It's like Aaron Rodgers at this point. Got the 1 Super Bowl. He's lost so many times. Getting 2 doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. So I just think Tom should stay with that.
Man, well, I will say this. I didn't weigh in at all, but there is one thing that's left, and it's the same thing that's left when The Rock comes back to the WWE, the same thing that's left when Michael Jordan comes back to the Wizards. Money, Marvin. There's money all around it, everywhere. Money.
Got money.
No, they all got money, but they want more.
That's greedy.
All right, so we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down the big game, the Super Bowl, our last little chat about the NFL. Inevitably, for a while, you're watching and listening to The Wire. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Theater, film, acting, it's very collaborative. So these people that you're showing up with, be respectful, be collaborative, be open. Of course, there are sabotages, I guess, but at the end of the day, if you and your partner go in there for a read, you both want to look good. You want to make the other person look good because they're going to make you look good.
Absolutely. And it's always important, I think, to support also. If it's in an environment, probably specifically speaking to community theater, maybe college,
sure,
where there's applause after each read,
sure,
be a part of that. And when they go on a break, make sure it's important to network with the other actors, because the more you network, the more people get to see you and your abilities, the more of a product you are for future endeavors,
All right. Welcome back to The Wire. That's right. Check out Andrew and Justin's Actors Breakdown. We are going to have all kinds of shows popping up here on H2G Radio. I don't know if you noticed the switch on Facebook, but that's just a start. We are looking to branch out into a network. So if you have a podcast or want to start a podcast, get at us in the comments below. Someone will reach out and we'll get you in here as soon as possible. But in the meantime, check out Andrew and Justin's Actors Breakdown. Comes out on Sundays. And of course, you got The Wire every week here. Guys, we had the Super Bowl. This is kind of the last NFL game we're going to talk about for a while, unless we get into another GOAT conversation and somebody says something crazy and throws off the GOAT alarm later in the season. But it was the Super Bowl. It was an awesome game, awesome halftime show. We're going to break it all down. But of course, let's get initial reactions to the game and how you felt watching this game. It was 23-20 at the end of the day. Of course, the new Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. Who wants to start us off?
I'll start it off. So first thing I got to say is, unfortunately, my prediction of 38-35 was incorrect. The offenses did not go off. What I did see was some good things and some bad things from both sides. Well, one thing that was disappointing is the T. Higgins face mask that was not called, that led to one of the freest touchdowns I've ever seen. It was pathetic that wasn't called. And the first pass interference call in the red zone. against the Bengals on third down. That was a very shitty call. The second one, I could care less. That was totally fine. But the first, that was another very egregious call. It quite frankly led to a touchdown, but considering the Bengals got a free touchdown as well, like, you know, it is what it is. Refs aren't perfect. What I was excited about the game was it was a fun game, man. I mean, you know, it was back and forth. The teams were fairly even. We'll get into the analytics about it later and, you know, what I think about it from that perspective. But I enjoyed the Super Bowl a lot. I thought it was a great game. It was very competitive throughout the games. The only thing that was really souring was watching OBJ. I think he did tear his ACL, I believe is what I heard. That was really sad to see. You know, he was really starting to cook. He had almost 60 yards on 2 catches. So that was disappointing for them. But I mean, the halftime show was phenomenal. Both these teams came to play. It was very well done. I didn't feel like I was expecting a blowout. Didn't see a blowout. Saw two competitive teams. And Aaron Donald getting the final play of the game. That was pretty cool too. So.
Oh yeah, Sahe, what did you make of the Super Bowl, my friend?
It was a very interesting game, right? It was a back and forth at the beginning, and then the Bengals actually took control for a little while, and then Odell Beckham got hurt, so that really hurt the dynamics of the Rams offense. So they really couldn't get going. Cam Akers really didn't look as explosive. He wasn't really able to get into a lot of space. But it was a very back and forth game. It looked like that the Rams were going to go in the score, and then the Bengals defense kind of held up, and then they get that phantom pass interference or holding call that shouldn't have been called. But that was what, third down? It would have been a fourth down.
They would have had one opportunity.
Yeah, they would have had another play. I felt like they might have got it anyway, but Cooper Kupp showed up right at the end when they needed him. I was thinking the whole time, especially during that whole third quarter, when I'm just like, where is Cooper Kupp? Like literally right before the last drive, and then he like takes over. So he was just like right on cue, and I'm like, man, they couldn't have scripted this better, right? So it was a fun game to watch. Halftime show was great. I did on my Facebook, like one of my dudes I work with, he was hating on. He was like, Kendrick Lamar didn't bring it, you know? And I'm like, what? And I looked at his comments, and people were like agreeing with him. And then I had to comment like, yo, I was surprised these comments were agreeing with you until I took a closer look at who was commenting. And then it kind of made sense. But, you know, I put him in his place, you know what I'm saying? Made sure he had to know, like, well, Kendrick Lamar did his thing. He's a legend. But everything was, you know what I'm saying, what I expected. Expected the Rams to go ahead and get the victory. But it was a great Super Bowl. Not the greatest. I probably won't remember it for too much, but, you know, it is what it is.
Absolutely. And just speaking of Facebook comments, as I'm bringing it over to Marvin, shame on anybody out there bringing the Paul brothers into the Cooper Kupp conversation. Shame on you. Stop talking about football. Go watch TikTok. All right, Marvin, what did you think about the Super Bowl, my friend?
Well, I'm gonna skip to the middle real quick and talk about the halftime show for a second. That was just brought up. The halftime show was amazing. I mean, that was our childhood wrapped up into one. I mean, talk about cultural appreciation during Black History Month. I mean, not only that, but Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they make music for everybody. And I don't know about you fellas, but I love Mary J. She's one of my favorite R&B artists of all time. She looked great. She is great. She dropped the album right after the Super Bowl and just got done doing Power Book 2. But I think that, you know, people complaining about the halftime show, like, what? Okay, what were you watching? For real? You know how many Super Bowl, you know how many shitty halftime shows us minorities have had to sit through for years, but never said nothing. We never said a thing. We didn't change the channel. We sat there and watched it or, you know, had a conversation among ourselves. So people just want to find something to complain about. But back to the game itself, I'm really proud of the Rams showing up on their home field like that. I mean, Aaron Donald made himself a legend with that last play. Yeah, Richie, the officiating was questionable at times, especially that face mask, that no face mask call. That was crazy. Like, I was like, where's the flag at? And the Bengals offensive line was what we thought it was going to be. It just wasn't strong enough to keep that defensive front away from Joe Burrow. I mean, there's a lot of hurries. The sacks started to pile up, 7 sacks. He was sacked 9 times in Tennessee. So that's something the Bengals going to have to address in the offseason. But Joe Burrow played his heart out. That whole team played their heart out. For them to get that far in the play, that had to take over the game. They took over the game at one point. Like, they had the momentum swing. But the Rams they stayed poised even with Odell leaving the game, because without Odell, they wouldn't have won that game. And Odell just put himself in that conversation as a wide receiver 1 again. Hopefully he can get right going into the next season or however long he's out. It sucked to see him get hurt. But, there was no, it wasn't a high scoring game because, I mean, both defenses, I mean, they came to play. It just came down to, Matt Stafford just, I'm sorry, Trey. I'm sorry, man. You were right, dog. You were right from the beginning of the year. This is why they got him. This is why they got Matt Stafford. He came in and, submitted his legacy. Now, whether he's a Hall of Famer is a conversation for another day. But, I think you got to give Matt Stafford credit where credit is due. He showed up. I mean, the no-look pass, that was nasty. That was nasty. I've never seen Matt Stafford. I didn't know he was saving that. I mean, he honestly didn't have a fair shake being in Detroit for 12 years, man. I mean, it's like being in jail. It's like being in prison, and he finally got his freedom with the Rams and finally got that Super Bowl ring. But, the Bengals as an organization, they'll be back. If they put the right offensive line, around Joe Burrow, they'll be back. Y'all saw that last play. Jamar Chase got open. He got loose. Jalen Ramsey fell down. And if that offensive line was just a little better, that's game. We'd having to get a different conversation. They would have ended on a 70-yard touchdown. The Super Bowl being in LA, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better Super Bowl. It's very competitive. It wasn't one team taking off with it. That's the kind of competitive Super Bowl you want to see. But back to the halftime show, as far as the Karens out there complaining, shut up. we gotta, I hope the committee continues to get it right and have a diverse, halftime show. But as far as these people complaining, that halftime show was classic. If you want to complain about something, 50 Cent being upside down, that's one thing. But still, overall, great Super Bowl.
He made his debut upside down. No, we're going to go over to Trey, but Marvin, in a one-word answer, because we did cover it at the very, very top of the show. Does Matt Stafford with this win get his Hall of Fame? One-word answer?
No, not yet.
No. All right. Very cool. I'm sure we'll talk about this again. I'm almost positive. That's the only reason I'm keeping that one word. Trey, what did you make of the Super Bowl out there in Los Angeles?
I thought it was a great show. I thought the halftime show was amazing, but it came down to pretty much everything we were talking about. The defenses showed up. The playmakers made plays. I felt bad about OBJ getting hurt, but he was getting loose out there. My man had 58 yards with a touchdown, was getting busy. Cooper Kupp showed up at the end of the game. The defensive Rams, the Los Angeles Rams defense showed up in the second half, started running at 50 defense with 5 offensive linemen, started stutting Von Miller to the inside, taking advantage of those guards, which we all knew before the game they were going to have trouble with. They started taking advantage of it, keying in on it. And then that gave Joe Burrow some problems. He started getting sacked. I think that they should have ran the ball a little bit more. The refs are going to miss calls every game. So I don't think they're necessarily egregious. They just miss calls. They happen in every game. There's holds that don't happen. There's PIs that don't happen. I mean, it's just a part of the game, really. So I don't think anybody got an unfair advantage in that situation. It just sucks that it happened and one of them became a touchdown. So that was just that. I thought Jalen Ramsey got cooked a couple of times out there while he was talking all that noise. Jamar Chase gave him that old got mossed. He got mossed out there, guys, with the one-hander. But the throw to the one-hander was amazing. Joe Burrow's out there looking real nice that first half. But it was a good show. Shout out to my pops for winning 17 racks.
Man, yeah, I wish next year I need him to give me some advice as we're rolling into Super Bowl season. Just financial advice. So Richie, all of you guys, really, it's always cool to me to have these conversations before a big game and sit down and watch and hear the things that you guys talk about. Again, as I'm watching the game, we saw some of that, the defense bringing 4 in the beginning, but we kind of covered a lot of that. Let's move into, based off of what you saw, being a Bengals fan, but also just a sports lover. Do you think Cincinnati got in by chance, or do you think they've got an honest chance or opportunity to build on this year and come back next year?
Oh, well, I'll start off with the whole Bengals situation as a homer, but being realistic, because I try to be very objective. Here's what I have to say. Their defense played significantly better in the postseason than they are. So the Eli Apple memes aside, there's defensive issues they need to work on. Their defensive line is great, but their secondary needs improvement. Their rush defense is pretty solid. Their pass defense needs work, and we'll get to that later. Do I think they can continue, being a contender? Absolutely, but it'll be more from the offense. Because just a quick stat, and then I'll move on. Everyone else can talk. We can talk about the game more details. Joe Burrow was sacked 6 times. I refuse to say 7. Aaron Donald pushed him out of bounds, basically at the line of scrimmage. I'd called 6 sacks, so that's bullshit. But 6 sacks, that's not acceptable. And when you look at how Joe performed with those 6, with constantly being under duress, this is a team that's very formidable on offense, period. Even with the line issues, they're already a formidable offense. So it really comes down to finding a great right guard. That's their biggest gap. And hopefully left guard as well. Their tackles are fine. People argue that. The guards are the big issue. If they can pick up both their guards and they can focus on their secondary, they're going to be a hard team to beat just from their offense. Kind of like how Kansas City and Buffalo are. Their offense will be so potent, it'll be very hard to stop them from that perspective. So for the Rams and the Bengals, they're both in good positions because they're both in favorable salary cap positions. The Rams can re-sign everyone sans Von Miller, and the Cincinnati Bengals are $40 million under the cap. So both teams have a good future, at least for the next year.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you, Richie. Let's, for the interest of time, both together, Sahe, do you think Bengals and likewise the Rams can kind of build off of what you saw this year, postseason, throughout the season, and now the Super Bowl, and make another good run at it next year?
Yeah, for sure. The Rams, they definitely, they got Robert Woods. Odell Beckham's got hurt. So offensively, I think it's going to be tough for them this next coming year, but they're going to have a solid defense. They're going to win some games. Are they going to be as explosive as they were this year? I don't think so. And on the opposite side, the Cincinnati Bengals, they do have good cap room, all right, but I don't feel like that's going to be enough, especially the way the Cincinnati Bengals organization is as a whole. I know they signed a lot of guys recently, but they're going to have to re-sign some guys. That cap space is going to get smaller. And they've got a lot of holes to fill. And I felt like going into the season, they were a young team that needed to continue to rebuild, and making it to the Super Bowl, they're going to have the 31st pick in the draft. So they kind of screwed themselves. They need young talent. The Steelers are going to be back. Baltimore Ravens are there. The Browns are going to be back. It's going to be a tough road for them, but I feel like they have the confidence, and they'll have a shot at least at getting to the postseason and making the Super Bowl. but I feel like this was their year to do it.
Marvin, same question, man. Do you think that there's a foundation built in LA or Cincinnati to make it back next year?
For the Bengals, yeah, I think they have a great foundation that they built on. The culture is about winning. I think like Sahe was saying, with the salary cap, they're going to have to make some decisions. In my opinion, they shouldn't go after broadcast. That'd be the wrong move. What you should do is take that money and invest in the offensive line. Get the guys that you actually need. Don't go out and spend money on marquee free agents. That's not what got them there, you know. But they need a better line. So I think that, you know, as far as the offseason goes, that's something they got to address. The Rams, I feel, have a better chance of getting back than the Bengals because even though OBJ is out, Robert Woods is still a great receiver. So when you get him back, you get Tyler Higbee back. Who knows? I mean, they might get someone else. But the Rams, they're in a good spot to go back. They still have Aaron Donald. They still have a great defensive line. I mean, the Bengals being such a small market, they got to go out and make, you know, these moves. But the Rams has been, you know, it's a little easier because of the bigger market. They're able to get afford more guys. So I think when you look at it, the Bengals this was their opportunity, I think, this year to do it. Now, can they possibly get back? I mean, the AFC is tough. I mean, you got the Bills, you still got KC. I mean, I don't know what that AFC North is going to look like. The Steelers don't have a quarterback right now. The Browns have Baker Mayfield. We all enough said about that. And the Ravens are still trying to figure it out. They're a good team. They're building around Lamar, but I just don't see a receiving core there. I don't see a team in that division that can beat the Bengals twice in a row. I just don't see that right now. So if they can win their division, they can put themselves in a position to make another postseason run. It's gonna be all about health too. Even for the Rams, it's gonna be all about health. They lost OBJ, and you know, on top of that, you know, they have to hope, you know, the season's long. The season is a long season. So if they can bypass all the injuries, avoid them, you know, they have a very good chance. Both teams have a very good chance of making a good run. But I think as far as who do I trust getting back to the Super Bowl, it'd be the Rams over the Bengals. Bengals got there, but they got a lot of work to do. And I think that there's some teams right now that have, you know, been, you know, knocking on that door, especially the Bills. They're about a couple pieces away from going. If they get a set run game, they're going to the Super Bowl. They have it. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And Trey, man, same question. Do you think that these teams have set themselves up for a repeat, or do you think it's time to move into a little bit of rebuild, given some of the things that the guys have brought up?
I think we all are in agreement with the Bengals offensive line, the guards in particular. So I don't think that they need to be rehashed. Their defense, I think Richie was talking about it, they're stacked with second and third rounders who I think started coming together as the year progressed, and in the playoffs, they really came together and did what they needed to do. I feel like they can build on that. The Bengals are traditionally cheap, so they're always in good cap situations. I don't see that changing any. I think they know that there are issues. Hopefully they go out and they get the offensive line they need because they can. Joe Burrow getting sacked as many times. I think he got sacked 9 times versus the tight ends. He got sacked another 4 or 5 times. But like it was just, and then he got sacked 6, 7 times a couple nights ago. That's just entirely too much. He got sacked 70 times on the year. He's not a big kid. He's going to get broke up if they don't do anything about him, and he's their franchise. And I think that they know that, so they're going to do something about it. The skill positions they have set, they got good young talent. So I think the Bengals are setting themselves up for a good run next year. The AFC is just tough, so we'll see where that goes. I think football this year, just in general, was a crapshoot. It was about 5 teams in the AFC that could have went to the Super Bowl, and I'd have been fine with it. Same thing for the NFC. The thing I that worries me about the Rams is I think they have like 8 or 9 free agents. I think Whitworth is retiring. He may retire. That's going to leave them open at that tackle position. So they're going to have to keep I think they have Blossom or whatever his name is. He's another tackle that is for free agency. They're going to have to keep him. They have another offensive lineman that's up for free agency. They're going to keep him. Of course, they want to keep Von Miller. OBJ is not a big cap hit for them, but if Whitworth retires, that's $17 million off of their cap that they free up. That might be his money right there. I think that they'll have a chance to repeat next year. But they have a lot of questions in the offseason, and they're going to have to figure out that offensive line because they had as good as they were with as many stars they had, they made a lot of mistakes on offense and defense. So it's going to be, I think both of these teams have a base to come back, but we'll see what happens.
All right. So we're going to go back around here, kind of lightning mode, but we're not under super pressure here. We just covered a lot of the game as is. I do want to get your guys's, more of an analytical, what was the key to success? Why was this game had the way it is and ultimately with the Rams on top as we put the 21-22 season to bed here, Richie? And we'll save the Aaron Donald retiring conversation until we have something to stand on. I think we can talk in that offseason.
Trey mentioned it earlier, pop stunts. I think Von Miller, they did a great job getting Von Miller opportunities off those stunts. And that was one. Raheem Morris did fantastic. And, one of the things I had mentioned for the Bengals is Zach Taylor's adjustments against Kansas City. And, effectively how well they dominated Kansas City in the second half. Kudos to the Rams to making those adjustments. And they absolutely, made that Bengals line look embarrassing in that second half. So great for them. From the Bengals perspective, my only disappointment is, the vaunted Rams defense. Okay, they're amazing at pass defense, but they suck at run defense. I've been saying it week in and week out. Joe Mixon was averaging 5 yards a carry against him. If they would have ran the ball more while they're getting dominated in the pass, it could have been a completely different game. They couldn't stop Mixon if they tried. So from a Bengals perspective, that was the disappointing thing. But, the bottom line is the game went as it went, and the Rams defense made great adjustments in the second half. Cooper Kupp was struggling, but bottom line is that final drive, that boy showed why he's the Triple Crown winner, and he couldn't be stopped. So, for the Rams, Cooper Kupp came to play when it mattered. Matt Stafford had one interception that was more of a arm punt is what we call it. It's a third down into the end zone. So it's kind of irrelevant. So he didn't really Matt Stafford. It was just the one interception that was a tip. So the Rams did what they needed to do. And I really think Raheem Morris, if not Sean McVay, but I'm assuming Raheem Morris's plan really came into action in that second half. And it was incredible to watch that pressure. The interesting thing I'm looking to seeing next year as a side note is the Bengals did not try to blitz Matt Stafford. A lot of people like to do that to him because he's very effective against the blitz. He's only pressured 12% of the game. And that sounds like a nightmare when you look at that offense, but he kind of didn't, mostly had a pedestrian game. It's not like he lit them up by any means. So interesting concept. They did the same thing against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm curious to see if this is the new trend against gunslingers, is to not blitz, pull back, and see if you can, kind of detain, let them get field goals, but not give touchdowns up. So interesting idea looking at it from that perspective, but I don't know if that's necessarily effective. So.
All right. And Sahe, man, what do you think?
From an analytical perspective, you're saying?
Yeah. Like, what do you think the key to the victory was? I know we've covered a lot of it. So.
This is for me. It is super, super, super simple. 3rd and 1. What are you gonna do? What's the coach for the Bengals?
Zach Taylor. Let's go with P. Ryan, right?
Zach Taylor. 3rd and 1. Their first possession. I'm not sure. I think they got a stop, and then they got the ball on a punt, got the ball close to midfield, It was 3rd and 1, and this is in the first quarter, and he goes for it. It was 4th and 1, and they go for it, and they don't get it. That was, to me, that was the game.
It led to a touchdown, by the way.
Led to a touchdown.
Aaron Donald was also offsides, and they didn't call it, Claire, just to clarify.
Okay. Immediately afterwards, they go down and get a touchdown.
Yes.
You have to. This is the Super Bowl. This isn't the regular season. All right. There is no tomorrow. Y'all know, coaches nowadays, they get caught up in the analytics and the sexy call of going for it on 4th down. This is the Super Bowl. This is win or go home. When I was watching the game, my first thought was, okay, they didn't get it on 3rd and 1. I said my first instinct was go for it, right? But then I thought, like, no, this is the Super Bowl. They would be an idiot to go for it. And they went for it and didn't get it. You got to punt right there. All right. Because then late in the 4th quarter, under a minute left, it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. The Rams, they got all the confidence in the world. They've already done it to you once. They know we can stop you right here. And that's exactly what they did. And it was in the psyche of the Bengals, like, we had a 4th and 1 in the first quarter and we didn't get it. And now it's the same exact situation for the game. You know what I'm saying? This is for the game right here. And that's why they look terrible. Joe Burrow didn't know what to do. He tried to give his guy a chance, but they really didn't have a chance right there. I feel like if they don't go for it early in the game, it's a different ball game. Make Matthew Stafford drive the length of the field. All right. You just gotta stop. Have confidence you're gonna get another one. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I felt like the game just kind of imploded right there, right at the beginning. I knew it was gonna be a long day.
Very cool, very cool. Marvin, man, what do you think? What is the key to winning this particular Super Bowl?
It came down to the Rams sticking to a consistent offensive game plan that got them there. When I first, that's why I took the Rams, because when I found out Eli Apple was going to cover Cooper Kupp, I'm like, oh, okay, it's over. Because there's no way he can cover it. I'm like, everybody that has gone up against Cooper Kupp this year, I'm like, Eli Apple. So I felt like the defensive game plan for their best, it just didn't add up. But I think like Sahe was saying, it came down to those 3rd-and-1s, those conversion plays. I think that in the 4th quarter, I just couldn't understand why they didn't give it to Joe Mixon there. Like, you have to give it to Joe Mixon on 4th-and-1. You have to. There's no way Joe Mixon's not getting that first down against a poor rushing defense, like Richie was saying. He was playing well. What was he averaging? 4 or 5 yards a carry?
5 yards a carry.
5 yards a carry. So in that situation, you have to run the football. I mean, we've seen this in Super Bowls before, where I mean, look at Marshawn. I know it's a different situation, different scenario, but you give your Pro Bowl running back the football. That's what you do. You trust him to get that conversion, because that's what got you there in the first place, was having a balanced attack. That's how they beat the Titans. That was so shocking that they beat the Titans. Joe Mixon was going off on them in the second half. But I think that, the Rams, stopping that conversion in the 4th quarter kept that defensive momentum. So it didn't matter. So the Bengals didn't trust themselves throughout the whole game. So I think the Rams sticking to their defensive game plan, which is to keep Joe Burrow contained. Not, they put the pressure on Joe Burrow as much as they could. And I think ultimately they were scared to run the football anyway because of the pressure. Von Miller was getting off the line. Aaron Donald was getting off the line. And, they did a great job trying to, contain Aaron Donald for the first quarter, but it's Aaron Donald. So I think the Rams have, executed their game plan better than the Bengals. I think that trust in a big game, they just tightened up. I mean, that pass, when Jalen Ramsey fell down, that last play, Joe Burrow's made that play all season long. He just misses Jamar. That just let me know they tightened up in that moment alone. Because if you're gonna execute a play on 4th and 1, you got to go to your best. Like that play is designed for your best. Even if they did an outside sweep, a jet sweep to Jamar, you got to get the ball to your best. You can't just depend on Joe Burrow, the bad offensive line, on 4th and 1 to scramble out of the pocket. Like, it's just like if Shamaje Perine just was more aware, he could have caught that ball to turf and been having a different conversation. But I think the Rams, like I said before, they stuck to the game plan and the Bengals tightened up.
Why was Perine even in there?
Yeah. Yeah, see? You play your best. You play your best in that moment.
Trey, man, what do you think? Take us home. What do you think the key was to the victory here, if it hasn't already been beaten down?
I'm kind of right with Richie. It was the defensive adjustments that the Rams made in the second half. I think when they came up with 5 linemen, that kind of deterred the Bengals away from running the ball, especially with their offensive line. And then the stunts that they were doing to take advantage of their very bad offensive tackles really threw a mix in it. And then when it came crunch time, Matt Stafford went to what he was comfortable with, which was the connection that he has with Cooper Kupp. They started off by giving him that what was it, a sweep? Like that outside run, and then they just started force feeding him the ball. And it's very understated that we all know he got the Triple Crown, but Cooper Kupp is a very smart route running receiver. He knows exactly how to manipulate the DB to get open and sit in that pocket to where Matt Stafford can see him, and Matt Stafford's looking for him. And he kind of got away from him in the third quarter in the first half because they were bracketing him. But in that fourth quarter, when they thought he was having a bad game and he found his way in between those shells, he was amazing. And that's why he's the Triple Crown winner, because he was very smart at what he was doing. But for the most part, I think that the defense allowed them to get that opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Raheem Morris and his defensive game plan changes that he made, adjustments he made in the second half.
All right, well, folks, we also want to know what you think the key to the victory is, what you thought of the halftime show, what you thought of the Super Bowl, what you thought of the headlines that we covered at the beginning. We are moving back into our regular format. The playoffs are over. We're going to get talking a little bit about everything else. But if there is something specific that you'd like us to cover, and as a caveat to that, if you'd like us to pay more attention to March Madness this year, let us know in the comments below. Check out everything we got going on with H2G Radio. Just because the H2G podcast is on pause doesn't mean we're not doing big things. You got Andrew and Justin's Actors Breakdown. We've got a true crime podcast on the way and so much more. Folks, this has been The Wire. We'll see you next Wednesday and every Wednesday at 8. Stay classy, fuckers.
Why was Perine ever on the goddamn field?